XChange Newsroom coverage is brought to you by Enable, a leading integrated IT service management platform provider.
Welcome back to our coverage of March XChange 2025. I'm so excited to be joined by Jen and Steve. Thanks so much for joining me. How are you guys doing?
Amazing, a lot of energy.
Fantastic.
I think we've had such an awesome show so far, talking about AI, cybersecurity, all things channel, right? Steve, I'm gonna start with you. What's something that surprised you about the show?
What surprised me most is how fast AI is being adopted and how much money solution providers and MSPs are making from AI. So talking to dozens of solution providers, you can see how many are already seeing, delivering ROI benefits to their customers. iCore, which is one of the top MSPs in the country, has saved a construction company $200,000 by speeding up the contract process with a Microsoft Copilot solution that they customize for the construction company. But there's more of that. From every solution provider that I spoke with is seeing that adoption, and they're also making a ton of money advising customers on how to get ready for AI, doing compliance, data privacy, and so there's services ahead, there's applications being built, and it's happening much faster than I thought.
Awesome, great to hear it. Jen, same question for you. What's a big surprise?
Yeah, for me, I would say one thing that was really striking is just how the impact of the Broadcom VMware acquisition is still being felt throughout the channel. And we saw it here with a few of their competitors who are still trying to capitalize on what they say is disruption in the market as a result of that acquisition. So we had Scale Computing here, we had Nutanix here, both of them talking about how they are seeing sales growth driven by both channel partners and customers looking for VMware alternatives in the wake of that deal. One really impressive statistic came out of a conversation that Steve and I had with Jeff Reedy, who's the CEO of Scale, and he talked about how they are traditionally a mid-market company, but as a result of the business that's coming their way now, they're shifting dramatically, 400% growth in enterprise business. And he said the majority of that is stemming from impact of the Broadcom VMware deal. So just really interesting how it continues to filter through the channel.
It's a huge story last year, continuing to have impact. We'll probably see up into the next year even potentially, right?
I would think, yeah.
Perfect. So I want to go back to AI really quick, just to talk about some of the things. It's had such a huge upward trajectory. We saw this great panel yesterday. We had Mark Williams and Stuart Sumner talking with two solution providers. I think you guys were both in the room. What were some of the big takeaways from that presentation for you both? Jen?
For me, it was what they called the halo effect.
Yeah.
And that was the idea that the AI is the conversation starter that can get you in the door because all the customers are trying to sort it through and they want to talk about it. But once you're in that room, in typical solution provider fashion, it opens the door to all the services and other offerings that you can talk about while you're there. A very popular one being cybersecurity, of course.
Yep.
One of the solution providers, Luis Alvarez, likened it to, he'd rather sell a supplement than a vaccine. The supplement, like the vitamins, right? Everybody wants to talk about vitamins and how they can help themselves. That's the AI conversation. The vaccine is the cybersecurity that everybody really needs. So that whole conversation, I just thought was both interesting because of how it is sort of a typical way that solution providers think, but now being applied to this new and upcoming technology of AI.
Perfect. Yeah, getting that foot in the door opens it wide open to all the other things that needs to be there, like storage and cybersecurity and compliance and all that stuff. Anything from you, Steve, on that panel?
For me, like one of the most interesting things from that is how solution providers are not only using to help their customers, but also to reduce their own costs and drive more efficiency and productivity. So Luis Alvarez talked about, his vision that every one of the people in his company will have a digital assistant, and how they lost an employee and said, well, let's replace that with a digital assistant. So that's going on in a rapid clip. It was also interesting to see ConnectWise talk about that digital assistant playing a huge role in what they're bringing to market to help partners provide level 1 service. So the vendors are also moving at a rapid clip to deliver that AI, both to help solution providers save money and also to drive revenue gains. One of the most powerful sessions for me too was PAX8 talking about their AI-powered marketplace and how the smaller MSPs are really leading the way and leveraging the AI capabilities of their platform to drive revenue growth and increase in profitability.
Yeah, I think CJ was talking to some solution providers here yesterday, kind of the reciprocal nature of it as, you know, you bring documentation into it, you bring your AI into it, right? You're saving time, clients are saving time, so there's savings on both ends of it, which I think is really interesting. So many opportunities for that, but I want to pivot over to cybersecurity and some of what we've been learning about here. Jen, I feel like you're on the pulse right now.
Sure.
What are some of the big things that you've been hearing?
Yeah, perhaps not a surprise, but just the level of activity from the nation states just continues to rise. A few of the vendors touched on that, and just how persistent they are. We had Galactic Advisors, Bruce McCulley was talking about how you're 17 times more likely to have a ransomware incident than you are to get pulled over for a speeding ticket. Yeah, and and one element of that he really hit on for the MSPs is that what's on the rise is the liability, the lawsuits related to ransomware, and how really important it is for MSPs to make sure that they're logging and documenting all the steps that they're doing to protect their clients, because those could come up later in a lawsuit. Another really cool session came from ThreatLocker, perennial stars here at XChange, but they talked about how ransomware gangs are just more persistent, and how, you know, the old adage that an attacker would run up against a wall and move on to an easier target is actually no longer the case. That in some of these cases, they're actually buying access to these clients, and therefore it's a financial impetus for them to keep going and keep looking for the weakness. So that was kind of scary. And then another one that struck me was Kaseya. They touched on how the SaaS applications are now a major vector for attacks, and that's something that MSPs really need to make sure they're locking down.
So attackers are just a lot more vigilant than they used to be, which was not the case in the past, which I feel like people keep pounding on the door. At some point, they might get in, right? So you got to be really on top of that.
The old idea that you had the security sticker on your window and they would then walk on by your house. Not the case.
Not the case anymore. Steve, anything from you on that?
I mean, the biggest thing that I think on that is, and we've heard this in the past, but you know, a lot of times it's the MSP's own RMM tools and their own engineers that are opening the door to these breaches. So ThreatLocker had a great example, a ransomware case study of an MSP in which one of their engineers downloaded a pirated version of Torrent, which is an application used by partners, and of course, it was the entry point for a ransomware attack. So this has been a huge issue, and I guess the other thing that surprised me about the cybersecurity situation is, you know, we continue to see MSPs, a lot of MSPs, not do the basics to protect themselves with multi-factor authentication, locking down RDPs and access to the internet, and really making sure that only trusted engineers have access. So you've got to they're not locking down and really implementing strict procedures within their companies. So it's a huge issue.
One piece that came up was one of the speakers saying, you know, when in conversations with penetration testers, that their favorite thing to see on a network is a printer, because a printer has probably not been updated in 5-10 years. You know, super easy access point for an attacker. So things like that, you know, are just obvious things that MSPs need to make sure they're doing to keep themselves and their clients safe.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. From consumer side, I'm using multi-factor authentication for my own stuff. And I'm trying to keep most of my devices updated. So why you got to do the basics. So I love that. Perfect. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. What is I've been asking a couple of people this, been asking some editors, been asking some solution providers. What is your word of the year for the channel in 2025?
Mine is opportunity, because it's sitting right in front of you. There's so many different vectors. I mean, we touched on a few of them here, but a lot of the partners we've talked to are just super optimistic about the year, the growth that they expect to see in 2025. So the worst thing you can do is just sort of sit still and keep doing what you've been doing. It's the time to experiment. It's the time to get into new technologies, look at new vendors, look at gaps in your portfolio and you might be able to fill those gaps to fill the evolving needs of your customers. So opportunity.
Opportunity. Steve, what about you?
Mine is AI, and I'm going to say it three times. AI, AI, AI. If you're an MSP and you're a solution provider and you're not moving at breakneck pace to deliver AI-based solutions to your customers and to also implement AI-based solutions to reduce your cost as a solution provider or MSP delivering services, you are going to be absolutely left behind and decimated by your competitors. It's moving at a much faster clip than I've seen any technology change in the last. We've been at this CRN 40 plus years. This is faster than any other major technology paradigm shift. So MSPs and solution providers got to get on board and deliver those AI-based solutions, use cases to their customers and implement it from top to bottom in their business.
I love it. So you got opportunity, AI. I think you got AI opportunity. There you go. Put it together. Not too bad. Well, hey, Jen, Steve, thank you so much for joining me here. It's been great talking to you both. Please make sure you check out the XChange newsroom when you have time. And thank you so much for watching.